Hey everybody and welcome. I am Michael Hoyp. I'm joined today with Jared Doucette. Say hi, Jared.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
I'm excited. We have a top four match, a semifinals of the Fall Brawl. Here you can see one of the deck lists that one of our players will be playing. So Nils has a Terrageddon deck, and Jared, you have a little bit of experience with this deck. Do you want to talk about this list and maybe what this deck is trying to do?
Yeah, it's a great deck. It's a classic mid-range deck in the vein of like the old uh Armageddon kind of decks where you want to put out like kind of a big creature and then blow up the world, when you get ahead. And then but it also has like the great land tax and scroll rack engine to kind of power through and get some good card advantage and some other just like, green and white, decent cards and Enlightened Tutor. So excuse me, lunch is coming up.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a great deck. I had a great success with it the last month we did in September, I think, and I really enjoy it. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be boring, green and white, but it actually has a lot of play. So I've been really impressed with it.
Yeah, definitely when you have cards like Sylvan Library and Scroll Rack with combination of land tax, it definitely provides a lot of options. You really have to plan out your turns and kind of when you want to use your spells, because you having that knowledge and kind of control of when you want to get the cards and when you want to shuffle them away gives you a lot of manipulation, which isn't typical for a green white deck of this pre-modern era. So
no, you feel like you're doing something very blue when you're doing land tax, scroll rack, Sylvan shenanigans. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
But it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And Armageddon personally is one of my absolute favorite cards of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I love cards that are symmetric negatively, but when you build the right deck, it's not a negative basically at all. So anyway, but this looks like it's going to be a good matchup.
Yep. The other deck we have is Deadguy Ale, and so that is the classic black-white aggro control archetype by Gabe Farkas. And so it has creature threats with a Nantuka Shade, Hypnotic Specter. It has 3 Mother of Runes for protection, and then the most interesting addition for this archetype that I've seen is the 3 Dauthi Horror. So the 2/1 Shadow can't be blocked by white creatures, which isn't very relevant. But
Not at all.
it is, as Gabe described, just like a direct damage spell. It just gets in there and is a way to clock your opponent, and you don't have to worry about it. It's almost always going to connect because of Shadow. Then the other supporting cast for this deck, Dark Rituals to make things a little faster. It has Disruption elements with Duress and Jared's Verdict. Then removal, it has 4 Swords of Plowshares, 4 Vindicate, which can get anything. It has a couple of Disenchant. For card advantage, it has 3 Phyrexian Arena, which is a really good card to ritual out on turn 1 just to constantly provide card advantage for the black-white deck. And then it rounds off with a couple of Unearth to get back some of the cards that maybe were eliminated, died in combat, or from removal spells, just to bring those back. So in this matchup, I would expect kind of what Gabe is looking to do is get a board presence, and most of his creatures are, I guess, most of the time they're going to match up okay with Nils's creatures, because the Hypnotic Specter would have flying, or the Shadow creature will still be able to get in. The Shade could early in the game, I think it'll trump the creatures of Nils, but if Threshold turns on, then it might be outclassed. It would be a big mana investment. But then he's going to look to disrupt, take Duress or Garrett's Verdict, those key pieces, kind of that, because it's not that Nils is a combo deck, but it has like a combo element in a sense that it has the Armageddon
Synergies.
Yeah, that if he's able to take those cards at the right time, then I think there's some good advantage for
It's an interesting deck, and Gabe has definitely sped it up with playing the shadow creatures, and so I think it's I lost to him in the Swiss rounds, but it's definitely an aggressive deck, and it's packed full of spells, and I think it's always better than I think it is, because I look at that mana base and it just like scares me. You know what I mean? Because there's not much covering black and white other than Caves of Koilos and a couple Tainted Fields. But the reason to play the deck is cards like Vindicate and like Gerard's Verdict. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this matches up.
Okay, so now that we've introduced our decks, let's jump over to the players. If Jared, if you want to let them know that they're able to play
Just
first.
did it. Yep.
Okay.
Just did it.
So this is a best of 5 match. So the first 2 games would be without sideboard. Nils is the higher seed, so he has the option to play or draw. I'm going to go out on a limb and think that he's going to be playing first.
Well, not necessarily. Like with the land tax, you kind of want to be on the draw sometimes, but I can't imagine. There's enough ways to kind of even on the play to play that turn 1 land tax with either Zuran Orb, like to kind of sack your own planes or whatever, or more commonly the Mox Diamond and just say go, deal with it.
So when you have played this deck, how aggressive are you mulliganing with the Terrageddon deck? Are there certain cards that you really want to see, or is it just kind of you just need a mix of lands and spells in order for you to keep?
I mostly go lands and spells because it just like I'm not a big fan of like digging for something specific unless I'm really sure that I need like a certain hate card or whatever to get in this match. But I think it's or it's a combo deck and I know I need to go to my combo. But I think that this deck can still be just fine if he gets like couple lands, Werebear, swords, and Armageddon in his opener. He's still got a good chance to do some stuff. So
Okay.
I think it'll be okay.
I think the most ideal card to open just is land tax from the Terrageddon deck. It just kind of shapes it allows you to do so much more in terms of you can set up a thing of just having less lands so that you're able to get 3, and then if you do get a scroll rack, then it really sets up that combination well. I think that if there's a card I'm looking to see in most matchups, I think land tax is it.
Yeah, I mean, but Gabe does have the disenchant to be able to handle it. So he's actually set up decently in the it's the disenchant on the vindicates and duress even.
Yeah.
To get certain things out of the hand that combo with it. So he actually interacts more with non-creatures than most decks do, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think he's got a way to kind of limit what Nils can do. So all right, it looks like Nils is actually down 2 cards.
Okay.
Looks like he's down 2 cards, which is and then I think also Gabe mulligan once as well.
So do the mulligans hurt the land tax deck a lot in your experience?
I mean, I would say probably just because of unless he has the land tax, then it's almost negligible, right?
Yeah.
But, I think it definitely it's probably a little bit better at mulliganing than most. Well, there we go.
Okay.
1 land tax
and
with an undiscovered paradise.
Right. I was to say there are cards. It kind of starts down in card advantage if you're playing a land tax and doesn't do anything, or a scroll rack, or cards like there was one more I thought I was thinking of, but there are definitely cards that are in the Terrageddon or Enlightened Tutor that where you're spending cards and kind of putting yourself back. But Gabe kind of has his engine going too. He rituals up the turn 1 Phyrexian Arena, so that's definitely a good start for both of the players.
Yeah, I think this is already looking to be like a slugfest. They both have pretty much their best starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
An active land tax on turn 2 and a turn 1 arena. I mean, we're off to the races already,
Races, maybe not, but yeah, they're definitely.
Yeah, good point.
We might be in for a marathon, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, so forest and 2 plains. I don't think you read too much into that. Other than maybe he has another forest in his hand, but let's see. Now, following this up with a Mox Diamond, because you have all those extra lands in your hand, would be great for Nils.
Yeah.
Just so he doesn't fall behind on mana tempo. Zuran Orb? I don't think you wanted that.
I mean, it's a card, so he doesn't have to discard, I'm guessing, but...
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if the Zuran Orb, I guess there might be a situation where they are kind of racing, but in general, I don't know if it's that important of a card in this matchup.
Maybe. I mean, it always, at the end of the game, it usually kind of matters. If you gain like 6 to 8 life or something. But I think for the most part, Nils is going to be winning big with something huge like the Terravore or something. Okay, so he's got... We're dressing and sees Terravore, Sylvan, and swords. It's interesting. I think you can grab the Sylvan here, right? You have to.
It could depend on the hand of Gabe,
True.
but if you, I mean, like if you have a disenchant and a vindicate and a creature, then maybe the Swords of Plowshares is something that you want to take. But I think in general, if you're expecting the game to go long, the combination of Sylvan Library, Lantex, and Zuran Orb all kind of go well together. Because if Nils has extra lands, he's just able to convert those into life and can convert those into cards with Sylvan Library.
Absolutely. All right, now I think Gabe has to play a second land just to stay in this, but it's going to let another land tax trigger.
Yeah, I feel like there's a point where there's diminishing returns for Nils. Like if you don't have the scroll rack going, yeah, you're gonna land tax, but you're either just thinning your deck and discarding a bunch of cards, or you're not usually getting that many lands off land tax. So the second activation I don't feel like is as big of a deal as the first.
True, but at the same time, now he's got this Zuran Orb that he could probably always stay below, and he can start feeding himself life, which again doesn't really matter at this point in the game. But he's going to keep being able to, like you said, thin the deck and maybe get that scroll rack so they starts putting the back in.
I guess
or whatever.
One thing it helps is just discarding lands makes the Terravore a little bit bigger quicker. So
absolutely true.
That could be relevant in this matchup.
So draw for turn. Let's see what we get. Oh, there we go. So Gabe better hope he has some white mana to either Vindicate or Disenchant. Otherwise, this starts going nutty.
Yeah, the scroll rack is given enough time and with the combination of land text, it really gives you the power just to go through your deck and amass card advantage and card quality.
Yeah. Now, if you do have Disenchant or the Vindicate here, do you get rid of the land tax or the scroll rack?
I would get rid of the scroll rack because of the diminishing returns that I talked about before, but
right.
I don't know. I mean, I think either is reasonable.
I think you're right. Either is reasonable. I can see getting rid of the land tax so that turns that off, and it's harder for him to maybe get another activation out of it.
Also,
or the scroll rack requires mana. I don't know.
Given, I guess you did take the Sylvan Library. I was just say, given that you know he has Sylvan Library, that land text still has a lot of value just from shuffling, but
right. Vindicate or Hippie?
Looks like a Vindicate.
Okay. All right, he's probably debating what we just were talking about.
Yeah.
Get rid of that land tax. Get rid of that scroll rack. The scroll rack by itself is not the best, but at the same time, he does have a fistful of cards. So one activation of scroll rack for even 5, is still okay.
Yeah, putting a bunch of lands back and then
just
getting a look at 5 new cards, and he could find another land tax, an Enlightened Tutor, or a fetch land, ways to shuffle his library, and really convert all those lands into actual spells.
I agree. But I'd have to imagine Gabe doesn't play another land for the rest of the game, because he doesn't have anything that costs 4 mana, and anything that if he wants to play 2 spells of a turn, he's got Dark Ritual if he needs to do that again. So I have to imagine he's going to stop there and not play anymore. So maybe this land tax gets negated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Werebear. But he killed the land tax, so maybe he does need to play more lands. I don't know. Okay, Werebear. Just the 1/1 right now, but my guess is if he should draw a Get-In or a Cataclysm right now, that next turn he sets it up for a nice, blow up the world situation, which could get this Werebear rolling.
Do you know what we're at for life totals? I have not updated for. So this is the third.
Nils is still at 20.
This
is still at 20, and I think
the third time that Gabe's taken a point. It's his 4th turn.
Yeah, I believe the third arena. Yep. Okay, Gerard's verdict. This is one way to gain back some life. I can't imagine he. Actually, I bet you Nils is probably happy to pitch away some lands here.
Yeah.
Pitch some land, gain 6, whatever. Terravore gets bigger. Start feeding that monster.
Well, yeah. Nils doesn't gain the life.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't mind that Gabe gains the life here. Fills his yard for the threshold for the Werebear.
Yeah, so, threshold and the Terravore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the dream right now is if Nils can fire off a Get-In, then you're rolling. I think he would be happy to do that.
Yeah, the one downside is with Phyrexian Arena in play, it still gives Gabe the time. I guess you would have a 4/4 to kind of really shorten the clock. But if you're not pressuring Gabe, the Phyrexian Arena would be a good way to mitigate Armageddon.
That's true. But Gabe doesn't play many lands. He only plays.
I mean, the curve of the deck is pretty low. Like I think there's.
He only plays 19 lands.
Okay, only 19. All right.
Yeah, that's pretty. We've already seen 4. So if you get in away a bunch, like he might stumble. 19 or 20, it's not much. It's very lean, very lean. Which I think is why he's been having some success with it, as opposed to some people, who probably build it up a little bit. But it's definitely very lean, but it's been working for him.
So
a lot of 3-drops.
Mother of Runes is a card that normally you would think would be pretty good against a green-white deck, but given that the main threat from Nils is Terravore, you're not gonna be able to block with something and give it pro green because it has trample. But we see it Swords away. It's a card that, I mean, once Mother of Runes is active, then the Swords to Plowshares and Nils's deck they're much less impactful. So definitely something that you want to Swords right away.
Yeah, even more so than like Hippie. If you got you got extra lands or something like that, you're okay taking 2 or whatever. But we'll see what the follow up here from Nils is. I think he did need to get rid of that Mother of Runes because your threat right now is the Werebear, but because it could just sit there and block that all day. But we'll see what happens with this next turn. He's thinking about it, so I'm not thinking he has one of those big bombs to blow up the world. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. So Gabe's at like 24 life, right?
Yeah, that's what I have him at.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Terravore is coming down.
That's fine.
The Werebear provides the second green source.
Yeah. So. Just a 2/2 right now, but it's not like he's playing against any burn spells, so a Vindicate and a Swords would do pretty much the same against it no matter what. So you might as well throw it down there and see what happens. Come on, guys. I like Gabe's choice of playmat, a nice big Urborg.
Fitting for his deck. Yeah.
Very fitting for his deck. And then actually the Frost Giant is or Frost Titan, is that the other one?
Yes.
That Nils has?
That's what it looks like.
I used to play during that era of Standard. Way back when. What was that? Zendikar? No.
Yeah, Zendikar was legal, I think, but they were in a core set. That's
right. The Titans were in a core set.
I think they were in M10. I think is when they first released.
Because what was cool about M10 is that was when they first started to do
new cards.
New cards in the core sets, which was huge. Okay. All right. So that looks like the shade. Oh, we're gonna scroll back. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. You might just go to see like a bunch of new cards. Said why not? He's probably digging for that Geddon. Be my guess. Geddon would be great right here. 1, 2, 3 cards. All right, not bad.
Yeah. So without the land tax, the cards. So it's Enlightened Tutor and Windswept Heath are ways for him to shuffle his deck, right? I guess, and then he also has a couple of copies of Mulch that can work really well with the scroll rack.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that Mulch. It seems okay. I
think we talked to Nils, and I think it was not his first choice, but the card's been slightly underperforming, I think is the impression I got from him. I think he would.
You said that Flint played it in a lands deck, which had like 30-something lands in it. Even then, it was underperforming.
Yeah. Though Flint didn't have like a scroll rack engine, so
true.
So we see a Wasteland, and it's targeting the Undiscovered Paradise. And he has to do it now because otherwise the Undiscovered would go back to Gabe's hand. And Gabe is using this opportunity to cast a Disenchant. I am thinking that he's using it on a scroll rack, and Nils is thinking if he wants to respond by activating the rack.
My guess is no, because he knows the two of the cards on the top of his deck because he just had them in his hand from the last scroll rack activation. So I don't know if he benefits much. And I think he only has. He still has the 3 cards in his hand. Okay, maybe he is going to activate. Oh, he's going to. Oops. Okay. Floating. I'm guessing we're floating and sacking. Or is he targeting the Zuran Orb? Interesting. What's going on here, boys? All right, either way, he's sacking. Okay. Oh, he hit the Zuran Orb. Okay. So that resolves. Okay, this Terravore just got much bigger.
So how many lands were sacrificed?
So 2 were sacrificed to the Zuran Orb, and then the Wasteland and also the Undiscovered. So that Terravore just got +4/+4.
Yeah,
now that's a 6/6, and he's definitely got
threshold.
He definitely hit threshold. So I wonder if he floated that mana or not.
So what do you think about the choice of pointing that Vindicate at the disenchant at the Zuran Orb? Do you like it?
That relevant to me, but
I guess like as the game goes on, you have more opportunities to sack more lands, and this is kind of like stopping it at a point where you maybe like the Terravore is manageable, and I don't know what the thought process is.
Ooh, that's why he sacked the lands. Okay, so he gets the mana and sacks it for the land tax. That's going to be huge.
All right, are you keeping track how big this Terravore is? Because I don't see them.
That's at least, I think it's a 6/6, and then the Werebear's definitely a 4/4, so here comes rumbling for 10.
Okay. Because I don't think they have a life pad on screens. Oh, Nils is up there, but I guess during the next game we'll ask him to move that down a little, so just so we can
catch it.
So you think it was 10 damage for?
I think it was 10. I think that Terravore, because you had the 4 at least, and there's 2 others from that discard from the Gerard's Verdict. So I think it's at least a 6/6.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, man, that was having that land tax to be able to play after floating that mana was huge. Which makes it even more why he should have probably gone for the scroll rack.
Okay, so I have Gabe at 12 because of the Phyrexian Arena.
Yep, that sounds right. These are big boys. Gabe needs to fire some swords and Vindicates right here. Otherwise, these guys are going to just rumble in.
Yeah, the Nantuko Shade has the ability to get bigger, but it's outclassed by the Terravore, and it's unlikely to keep pace with it, I think.
Yep, there's the Vindicate. Okay, blow up the Terravore. Yeah, got to kill that. Okay, get in for 2. I mean, you're not going to block, so. Yep. Make it 3. I think it's the first damage that Nils took. Mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's end of turn. Okay. That's interesting. I bet you that was just a land anyway. Okay, here we go. Scroll rack attacks online.
Do you know how many cards are in Gabe's hand? Like how many resources he's working with? It's hard to see.
Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm thinking.
Okay, so he still has some cards, but it kind of feels like the power level of Gabe's deck is like flatter, I guess I would say, when like Nils has like the more powerful cards like Armageddon and Cataclysm and Terravore. I think as the game goes longer, those cards can be more powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Nils has so many live draws right here to just basically turn the game off almost. Again, an Armageddon would be huge. Because he would have the biggest creature, and just Gabe has no way to play anything without lands.
Mm-hmm.
So. But he needs to probably wait a couple turns because he's low on mana. But this is Mox Diamond could absolutely come up here and put him to 4 mana right now. Or even a couple Mox Diamonds. He just drew 3 lands. He's probably got a good fistful of like 5 cards now.
Yeah, he certainly got lands to discard to Mox Diamond if that's the case.
Yeah.
So the Werebear comes in, and definitely like with Nils having creatures and dealing a big chunk, like him dealing 10 damage last turn, it kind of puts Gabe in a position where he needs to find answers, and it needs to be pretty quick because the creatures are going to keep coming from Neil, and the Phyrexian Arena is chipping away at you too.
Well, and also he needs to be able to play probably 2 of them, 2 answers at once, but he only has that one white source right now, and I think that's probably Like he needs a Vindicate and a Swords or whatever.
Yeah.
Neither of which can deal with the Mongoose, but he has to also deal with the other permanents as well.
The Nantuko Shade right now could hold off on the Nimble Mongoose, but the problem is you're not able to develop your board at all if you're leaving up that mana. And Nils can either could have a Swords of Plowshares, or he could just use that time to progress his board state with Scroll Rack and Land Tax and set something up, while Gabe isn't able to get further ahead if he's leaving 3 black mana, 4 black mana up every turn.
And like you just mentioned before, is that the arena has the inevitability for Nils, where Gabe, if he doesn't put up a decent clock, will just die.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he draws 10 more cards. Okay, we're racking. Right, this engine is fully online now.
So we do see Gabe just passing. So he's not playing anything. And it kind of is interesting from Gabe's perspective of, like, if he does have extra lands in his hand, like, is he playing them? You could say because of land tax, because of Armageddon. Is he trying to save some in his hand because of he's worried about cards like Cataclysm or Armageddon? Or he just doesn't have any. I don't know.
I don't think there's any point in him playing extra lands at this point, because they're going to get blown up at some point, and he probably needs all his resources right now, and to lose that many would be rough.
Having another swamp would potentially hold back the Werebear. So
yes, it would. But then, like you said, again, he's not developing his board.
Well, he's not developing his board as it is, so it's not like he tapped out to play something.
True.
So
that's true. That is true.
So going back a bit, Kevin Cosnerino, thank you for the subscription, 3 months. So I think Robin was the first person to subscribe to the channel. So thank you.
Oh my god. Do they still do those Amazon Prime Twitch subscriptions?
Twitch Prime, yeah. So yeah, if you have a Twitch Prime account, you get 1 free subscription if you link your Twitch account to your Amazon account, and every month you're able to subscribe to 1 channel for free.
Well, I guess I'll have to do that
for
the Cloud Goat Ranger. Great channel.
There are some other pre-modern channels, so it's not your only option. Old School Kurt Ape by Andrew. I always get mixed up whether it's Might As Well Watch or Old School Kurt Ape, and then
no one knows.
90s MTG is the other pre-modern source that I've seen. So.
Yeah, I haven't seen them play as much recently, but they did do a couple weeks of their, I think it's Tuesday nights. They do like throwbacks as well.
They do a lot of Legacy. I think that's primarily what they have their audience for, but they do other formats. They've done weird stuff like, well, I guess it technically was Legacy, but they did like Tribal Wars or something, where all the Legacy decks had to have X number of creatures to meet that Tribal Wars threshold, and so
that's awesome.
A good spin on a format that exists, but it freshens things up. So
that's one of the beauties of this game in general. It's just that players can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah,
just like we've decided to do with Premodern.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to play Hearthstone a little bit back in the day, a few years back, and it was frustrating because you're completely at the whim of the company and their formats and their client. Like you had no ability to kind of to make it the way you wanted to, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's nice that we have this.
Yeah, the physical cardboard really gives you the freedom that they're kind of just game pieces in an aspect, and if you want to create your own game and you want to put the time in to balance something, you can make any format you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. You could say no basic lands. You could say, whatever, you have to only play cards that start with the letter S or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, so that took I don't know what took so long there, but okay, we got a Mox Diamond again, probably. Okay. What are we gonna do with this?
So if you're in Nils' position and you have a card like Armageddon or Cataclysm, what opportunity are you looking to fire that off? Is it just as soon as you can, or do you kind of milk it, or what do you look to do?
I think at this point, I think you're definitely head on board.
Yes.
As far as your creatures, and all he's got is the Nantuko Shade, which if you blow up all his lands, they're not going to be bigger than any of your creatures. I think any chance I bet you he's playing that Terravore and getting ready to play one of those
Okay.
big cards next turn. Because hopefully Armageddon is, because then he can attack with all three of his dudes as opposed to just one of them. But you would have by far the biggest dude on the board in Terravore, but more susceptible to just swords. Actually, when I play this deck, I found that I wanted to get in way more than Cataclysm almost every time.
Interesting.
Because you have a situation like this where you have more creatures than your opponent, and if you Cataclysm, yeah, you'll have the biggest dude on board, but you're getting rid of two of your dudes who are also decent beaters. And I want to attack the resources, so I've thought about just going all the way up to all 4 get-ins and then no Cataclysms. But I understand there's some, but then Cataclysm is good against the Goblins deck, where you need to wipe the board and have that option.
Yeah, and I mean, not that it's that big of a difference, but once you get to the top 8 and the deck lists are revealed, I think it is better that Nils has Cataclysm, because if you just have Armageddon, then you can really just play to the board and flood as much creatures, because he doesn't really have a reset in the main.
Mm-hmm.
But that is kind of like a first world problem, I guess. If you're dealing with, if you've already made it to the top 8 and the deck lists are public, then yeah, maybe your deck gets a little worse.
Right.
But
yeah, I've also even thought about putting in Vindicate, probably hitting Terravore.
So
yep. Okay.
That Werebear last turn, did it attack?
No, it cast the Terravore. Help cast the Terravore, and he left so that he could leave. Actually, the green.
Then what do you use the other man? For the scroll rack. Okay.
For the scroll rack.
Okay.
Tap the green for the scroll rack. You can play the Mox Diamond, and then you use that.
Okay.
Okay. So swords on that.
Werebear.
Okay. He left that white up. He might. I mean, I'm guessing Nils has the swords as well. If he left that white up.
Will he? Okay. Yeah. I guess. Well, green doesn't represent anything, so.
No, it definitely doesn't represent anything.
So.
Giant growth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it could be a Enlightened Tutor, so it isn't necessarily just a swords.
Yeah. But either way, I think he's got this engine going, so he's basically drawing 3 cards a turn.
Yeah, and Gabe only has 1 swamp, so if you're Nils, are you willing to trade your Nimble Mongoose for Nantuko Shade from this position?
No.
Because the only thing is, though, it's in other situations, it's never going to get better. He's always, I guess, if Gabe taps out completely or doesn't have any black mana, then he's not able to trade. But there are positions where you're not even able to trade because he has so much mana untapped. So
that's fair.
I might be inclined to attack.
Take the trade, knowing that you still have a few more creatures that can. Sorry, the garbage.
I'll turn you down for a second. All right. Yeah. All right. And so we see a Winter Orb. Ooh, so that's definitely a card that's good against the Nantuko Shade. But
what I like about, I saw this in his list and I thought that was really cool because it was it's a searchable way to impact your opponent's mana.
Yeah.
So I dig that because that is exactly the situation, right? How good is this right now?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be awesome because first of all, you have the Mox Diamond. It's only gonna cost you 2 mana, and you can even, you're gonna have to Wasteland the Paradise. Yeah, and then still play your own Winter Orb. I'm curious what else is in his hand, but I think this would be a good chance that, I would even offer up the trade, like you said, because Gabe's life total's got to be getting low now.
Well, now I was gonna say it might even be a position where you don't need to trade because you know that the Nimble Mongoose is most likely going to be bigger or better than the Shade. But I mean, I think you. It's kind of interesting because it's given that Gabe is so low, you definitely want to get in with the Nimble Mongoose to cut the turns that he has left. So I think from this position, Gabe would happily trade the Nantuko Shade for the Nimble Mongoose, given that he knows about Winter Orb. But before, I guess I was a little more apprehensive. But I mean, I guess he is so low on life that I think he's kind of forced to block.
He is kind of forced to block, and what do we think his life total is at? Probably
I
7?
I have him at 6.
Okay. Okay, Pats. Yeah, I think you're actually okay with this.
So
my guess is that he untaps the If you untap the plains, you give yourself more options. That's for sure. Winter Orb, so cool, so hot right now. Okay, sit down to 5. Yeah, I've been playing some decks that have been very impacted by Winter Orb recently. I've been playing like Full English Breakfast, and man, it just crushes me. Just can't do any of your shenanigans. All right, Spectre's a clock.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the position like if Gabe were at parity or ahead, then I think Hypnotic Specter is one of his best cards. But kind of from this spot, I don't know if it'll be enough. Like I have Nils at 25 life, so that's a lot of connections from the Hypnotic Specter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's going to scroll back before land tax? I guess he needs to put the lands back in?
Yeah, that could be the possibility. Okay. Looks like he's putting 3 cards.
Yeah. Want to bet those top 3 of basics?
Yeah, he still does need to shuffle his library, yeah.
I guess they said it's okay.
All right, okay. I haven't paid attention to if the rest of the cards were random, but
I believe they were.
Okay.
Well, he definitely cut a corner there, but I think he knew the top 3 were the lands that he just put on top, and I would have shuffled at least a little bit there.
Yeah.
But that's just. But it seems to be that the rest was fine.
Wait, did he play a Windswept Heath, or was that discarded to a Mox Diamond? I made him
discarded to the Diamond.
All right, I made him lose life.
He's playing the Forest.
Okay.
Werebear.
And another Nimble.
Okay. I think you want to roll in with that other one?
I think so.
Let's see, why not? Yeah, why not? Put the pressure on.
What is the downside?
He only trades or he chumps. And he can't swords it. Oh, I guess he...
Yeah, I think I guess... Yeah, I don't know. And like making Gabe use a mana is a real cost because of Winter Orb, so...
Yeah. And even then, it to make a trade, right?
Yeah, it would still be a trade.
I'm with you, man. Because then the next turn, you definitely have the 2 biggest creatures in the Mongoose and the Werebear. The 3/3 and the 4/4 are way bigger than just the hippie.
Yeah, and like I think Gabe, with that low of life total, just has to block. So, I mean, he could have like a disenchant to get rid of his Phyrexian Arena, but if you're spending a card to get rid of your card advantage card, then you're probably in good shape.
Yeah. You know, this is looking like it's about wrapped up. Okay, another block. See, if he attacked before, then he would have been able to play that.
The second shade has a lot of diminishing returns, especially with a Winter Orb in play. So,
you know what? I totally agree. Shade is one of those cards, much like the original Pump Knights and like Fallen Empires, that you really only want one of them on the battlefield at any one time, so you can really commit to like them. So they're kind of the kind of card that you want to draw one of at a time. So like playing on 4, while they're all great cards, like they do have diminishing returns, like you said in this case, especially with Winter Orb.
It is a nice mana sink, though, in a lot of board positions, because it's kind of... I think with this deck, if it is pressuring and you're not casting your discard spells, it gives you something to just sink your mana into, push your advantage.
Still surprised we haven't seen like a Armageddon or something.
Oh, well, we might be at that point. Yes,
there it is.
The Armageddon.
Okay.
So
then I think you push with these mongoose.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think like how Gabe would line up his blocks, and there's
He double. Yep, there it is. Either double blocks them, or he just jumps them. He double blocks one and jumps the other, or takes. Yeah,
well, he's got to block both of them because I have him at 4 with a Phyrexian Arena in play.
yeah. So he double blocks one and jumps the other, then he's definitely dead next turn.
Yeah.
I think this wrapped it up. Get it. Shuts the door. Very good at that. So good at shutting the door.
And I also. So did he have any black mana available that
he had that cave, which would have dealt him the damage.
Yeah. So that's not as important. I guess if he would have pumped it, then he could have traded with both Mongoose. Like
then he still has to deal with Werebear, and he has to
but
like planes and swords again.
It's just better than not. So okay, so this swords is I think So did 2 Nantuko Shades blocked 1 Mongoose, or is it?
I'm guessing
a split.
I
guess we'll see if. No, all the creatures died, so he's.
Yeah, I think it was. I think he
I guess it didn't matter either way, if you have the swords.
So he should be at about 5 this turn.
No, I have him at 6. He gained 2 from the swords,
he's dead, though.
And then he lost 1. So
he can't remove it enough. He can't go, plains pearl balance. That's just not allowed in this format.
Yeah. He's dark ritualing Unearth. Ooh.
Oh, might get some blockers. Unearth. Okay. All right. Holding on to dear life. Mana burn for 1.
He can pump the shade. He doesn't need a mana burn.
Okay. True.
But yeah, it's just kind of like a repeat of last turn. Just a little bit different. He's going to take 3 at least.
Mm-hmm. I do really like the Unearth, so just, value.
The only problem is I feel like a lot of the times the first removal card you play against is Source of Plowshares, and you're not going to get an opportunity to unearth something that's been plowed. But yeah, I mean, and I've looked at cards in terms of like cards that have good enters the battlefield abilities, and there's just not that many, so it's kind of like bringing a creature back is just for its creature, and most creatures in pre-modern just aren't that powerful. So I wish the card were better, but I don't think it's.
But it's not because the card's weak; it's because the creatures are not as great.
Yeah,
I've been dying to try to find a card, and it doesn't really exist, that like goes even better with like Cabal Therapy, something that has it leaves the battlefield trigger, for when you sack it. Other than the Yavimaya Elder is probably the most played one, but like Festering Goblin's a good one, but that's not good in the metagame.
Yeah,
not necessarily. That's more of a sideboard card. Something that's cheap like that. Like if Mesmeric Fiend, for example, could discard a card and leave in the battlefield, like that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, looks like we're going to game 2, and there's no sideboards. So, Mike, I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to grab a drink.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good. So this is our game 2. So this game is also without sideboard. This time Gabe will be on the play, so that does give him a little bit of advantage. His cards, given that he kind of wants to put a creature into play and then disrupt your opponent, being on the play is a big difference. So.
Okay.
All right.
Game 2 is brought to you by Coke Zero.
Okay.
It's fucking gas. So, like, I'm currently in California. My brother is he lives out here now. He's definitely become one of those California health nuts. And when I told him to buy me some Coke Zero, he was like, that's basically poison. I'm like, I don't care. I love it. It's my vice. Fine.
I drink a lot of sparkling water, so I got used.
Is that yours?
Yeah, but that's just there's nothing in it, so.
Right. I drink a ton of water. I go through like 3 or 4 Nalgene's a day.
Okay.
I drink a ton of that, so it's not like I'm not getting my water, but I understand, and I just makes me happy.
Every now and then, I guess most of the time when I drink a soda, it's usually mixed with alcohol, but every now and then a soda is something that's good. But like there are times like I'll take like a sip of Coca-Cola. I'm like, this is ungodly sweet. Like,
Oh, I can't drink the regular Coke at
yeah,
all anymore.
yeah,
I've switched over to Coke Zero for years now, but like the regular Coke is ungodly sweet.
yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. Okay. Looks like we're keeping 7 for Gabe, I believe.
So do you think Gabe is advantaged if he is on the play, or do you think I feel like the deck matchup's a little bit difficult for Gabe's deck because
He needs to be ahead on tempo.
yeah, and
He
there's
needs to be disrupting and attacking.
yeah, and that definitely can happen that he has rituals out of threat and then has a duress or something, and it kind of seals the game early. But there just seems like there's usually enough time for Nils to kind of draw out of it.
Yeah, if he can go, ritual duress, shade, or the shadow guy,
Mm-hmm.
that's a clock. That's disruption as long as he got the right card. I think actually the shadow guy might be one of his better cards in this matchup, just because it is so hard to deal with other than swords.
Yeah,
Just, like you said, a burn spell.
yeah, because Neil's creatures do eventually block Gabe's. They do outclass him eventually, but if it's Shadow, then the evasion's really good. I mean, I think Hypnotic Specter is the best card against Nils because if he doesn't have a swords, it's going to be chipping away not only at his life but his hand too.
True.
So
Swords or a land tax. The land tax you can make up the card disadvantage from the.
yeah, it is random though, so you still have a chance of like getting the. I guess it's pretty bad. Like if you're adding 3 extra basic lands to your hand to get the good card still, but yeah.
My overall opinion, just having watched how that first game went, it feels like this is just a bad matchup for the guy, just because there's so much the bigger creatures, and there's so much more value in the Terrageddon deck.
Yeah, we'll have to check out the sideboard to see if anything can dramatically change for either player. But yeah, I would agree on paper. I think the Terrageddon deck has a deck advantage against the Deadguy Ale.
Like I said, I was very impressed when I was playing that deck. I felt like I had game against in every matchup, and I was really surprised by that. I can't remember what I really played against. It's been 2 months, but it's definitely in my like sleeved up, ready to go kind of decks that if I want to play them again. So it's plays just so many good, strong cards. There's such good synergy. I love synergy in decks. One of my favorite things. Okay, I think this is the mulligan. Probably down to 6. Oh, is it 5?
I think it.
No, just 6.
Okay.
Just 6. Right. Okay, here we go. What you got, Gabe? Bring the fire.
All right, what'll it be? Is there a Dark Ritual?
Oh, here we go.
Yes,
Yes,
there's
it is.
a Ritual and a Hypnotic Specter. So
like you said,
I think that
Okay.
is the ideal start. I mean, Phyrexian Arena is very good, but
but this is getting him ahead and getting him ahead in cards and pressure.
Yeah,
It does everything he wants it to do.
it is more answerable. Like if Nils has a Source of Plowshares, like Phyrexian Arena is a lot harder to get rid of from Nils' perspective. But I think if both of them stay in play, I think on turn 1, I think you might rather have the Hypnotic Specter.
Yes. Because there's only 4 swords. There's no bolts in that deck. There's no extra spells. Like that.
Okay, so starting off with Mox Diamond, discarding an Undiscovered Paradise. That'll give white mana to play land tax. And then he does play Undiscovered Paradise. So even if he's not using this mana and Gabe does not play a land, he has the option to activate the Undiscovered Paradise so that it picks up.
I like that. Okay, take 2. Let's roll the die. Black Sleeps, it's really hard to tell how many cards there are.
Yeah.
2. What's that mean?
I think it's 3 cards is what he...
Okay, Wasteland's gone.
Yeah, I guess it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's probably what it was.
Okay, all right, lands down. I'm sure Nils, probably wanted to keep his Wasteland just because it disrupts Gabe nicely, but I think he'd rather hold on to some more of his action cards. Okay.
Okay.
Dress. Oh. Should you dress before the random?
I think so. Like if you know you're gonna dress, because let's say he only has one.
Right, one target you got rid of
I guess.
random, then you just
I guess
away the rest.
the argument is like maybe the card that he discards randomly would impact the card that you pick. So I guess it's not just like one is completely better. One route is completely better than the other, but I think in general.
Also, why didn't Nils respond to the rest by playing the Enlightened Tutor?
Maybe he prioritizes the scroll rack higher. I don't know.
Okay, so make him make the decision,
and then he
can get the scroll rack if you need to. If he chooses the scroll rack.
Well, he's not able to land tax if he uses the Enlightened Tutor. Is the other thing, right? That turn, like if he's using land tax, then it shuffles away the card that he tutored.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay. So one unknown, 2 lands. I still think I would have dressed first.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been the route that
it gives you more options, like I said, because otherwise that dress could miss. Three, middle one. Plains. No problem. Feeding Terravore already. Definitely matters. Definitely matters. Okay. In a turn. Scroll rack for 2. One of them's at least a land. Then we shuffle them away. It bounces back. Oh god, I'm scared with land axe. So good.
Right.
So good.
So
the fact that it comes back on the untap is just awesome.
Yeah.
I think it was meant to be a downside, so you couldn't pay for upkeeps or something like that before it bounced or something. But...
yeah, that makes sense. Like if you just said upkeep, then you'd be able to get like another use out of it before it would come back to your hand. So
right, exactly. Okay, this card advantage engine is going to start mattering pretty quickly.
So if Gabe isn't doing anything on this turn, like what else do you think is in his hand?
Vindicate. Clearly he's only at 2 mana.
Vindicate, Hypnotic Specter, Phyrexian Arena are the other.
This is the problem with the deck, because he only plays 19 lands and he plays 12 3-drops. Like, it's so low. Like, if you have Dark Ritual, it's great, like he did on turn 1. But if you can get stuck on these 2 lands because he plays such a low land count. I've always felt like this deck needs more lands, but he's the one in the top 4, not me.
Sure.
I've also never played this deck. The mana base drives me nuts.
I feel like a lot of times whenever Gabe has posted a list, I feel like that he's on the side of the coin of where he pushes the limits and plays less land, and you are always advocating for more land. So
I'm like, even the Goblins decks, I'm always like a more land person. Yeah. Because I hate getting mana. Like, I don't know. Lands that do things are like the best, like Wastelands, Mishra's Factories, these things, ports, like they do things as well as being lands. Like those are the best, like, cards they've ever printed, if you ask me. As far as like a macro design kind of thing, they're so much more enjoyable.
All right, so Gabe at least was able to use his mana. It was a disenchant on the scroll rack. A Aura of Silence has come down from Nils, and so
shuts off Arena.
I think that is the only.
But he does have that main deck, so that people probably think, oh, isn't that a sideboard card?
Yeah.
It's like, no, he actually does have that main deck. All right, Gerard's verdict. Is it Jared's or Gerard's?
I don't know. I think I asked this last time, and I still don't know the answer.
I think it's Gerrard.
So, did he discard 2 lands? What did you see?
It looks like 2 lands, yeah. So he's up to 25.
I have him at 24. He took a point to cast it.
I took a point to cast it, too. Yeah. Okay, so 24, yeah.
So I have Nils going down to 14, a third hit from the Hypnotic Specter.
The card that Specter got the Terravore.
Terravore, okay.
You got the Terravore. That's actually huge because that thing was going to get big next turn.
So
That's going to be a good threat.
when I was looking at my screen, it looked like a black card. I'm like, what card did he discard?
Yeah, it's in a little shadowy corner.
Yeah. I was gonna say Ghastly Demise, but
Not a bad card actually.
No.
Probably underplayed. That's the one that destroys a non-black with equal to the number of cards in your graveyard. Is that right?
The toughness, the toughness. I think has to be less.
Just gotta get that Premodern Dredge deck going. That'd be basically like kill anything for 1 mana.
Yeah, the only problem is like, like that card just seems so less effective in games 2 and 3 because your opponent would bring in like a Tormod's Crypt if you have such a dedicated graveyard deck.
Great, yeah. I think it's still what was it? It's the most played card of the format.
Yeah, Tormod's Crypt. Yeah. All right.
Oh, he's got another one anyway. Yeah. Nice.
So, let's see if we can figure out how big this guy is.
I hope they give us a number.
Yeah.
Because it's large. It's at least 5. Is my guess. Because there's 2. There's that Wasteland. There was a pitch to the Mox Diamond. All right, so 2 more down to 12. All right, this clock is rolling. There's another one. Just got bigger. Told you it mattered.
Yep.
It's playing on the land.
So how big do you think the Terravore is if you had to guess? 6/6?
I would guess 6/6.
Okay. So Gabe adds another Hypnotic Specter to the board, but I guess actually it's a pretty reasonable race.
It's not a 3-turn clock.
Yeah.
This is going to come down to, I think, whoever draws swords first.
I mean, Gabe also has the option of drawing Vindicate too, so
that's true.
If you're just saying between that, then I think the advantage goes to Gabe, and he hasn't cast a Swords of Plowshares yet this game. When I think Nils has cast one. Was it this game? Or was it a different? No, it wasn't this game. That was a different game. I think they're counting lands. I can't see them all.
Try to. Oh God.
It's kind of like
autocorrect. I tried to message how big is Terravore, and it just autocorrected to how big is Terravote.
I think they got the idea. Maybe you should just message Nils to bring down his phone like onto the playmat, and then
we'll do that.
Yeah, because then it's a little, at least like we can deduce what the Terravore is just from the life total changes. Okay, I'm just gonna. Oh, all right. Well, now we need to figure out how much life he gains. I'm gonna say it's 6, but I'm not sure.
It is 6.
Okay.
So it's up to 18.
So 18 to 24. So then, I mean, Gabe's in pretty good position with two of these Hypnotic Specters. Can really clock down. And how many has Neil still been land taxing every turn, or is there I don't remember how many basic lands are in his deck.
I think it's 5 and 5.
Okay, so there are a lot of basics.
Yeah, I think he's been taxing pretty much every turn.
Okay.
Number 5. And there goes the diamond. And I don't know, that's a D4, could tell.
A mulch.
What's that? Yeah, we don't need that. Okay.
Did you think it was
second hit?
Did you think it was a harvest worm?
Dude, thanks, scoping.
I mean, the arts kind of look similar from here. Here, I'll bring that one up.
Yeah. That's a card I've always wanted to make work.
I have definitely looked at it. It has come up on my search when I'm looking through cards. I just don't think the payoff is big enough. Yeah, but
if it just said land, it'd be amazing. The fact that it says forest.
Yeah, I'd be bringing back Wastelands with that guy if that were the case.
Wastelands, fetch lands. Oh man, you're going nuts.
Did anyone have Harvest Worm on their bingo card of cards that we would talk about today?
I don't think so.
No.
All right, down to 10. Oof. Yeah, this looks like it's about over. Okay, number. Doesn't matter.
So he did not land tax right there.
No, he did not.
Which is interesting. So he uses Wasteland to get rid of Caves of Koilos, but when he adds a Werebear, and so he doesn't have any cards in his hand? Yeah, so that's definitely a tough spot then.
He's on the clock. Okay, he's down to 6.
I guess the silver lining is he doesn't have to discard any cards.
Yeah. The second hippie is definitely the biggest problem. Swords. Clock him back. Okay, there's 4. Down to 20.
Is it 20? Okay.
Yeah.
I accidentally messed up his life total, and I don't think I put it back to what it was. All right. Well, I don't know what Nils can draw. Is there a worship in his main, or is that just in the sideboard?
That's a card I think should be in this deck because you got the Nimble Mongooses, and it's fetchable, and you play kind of enough creatures. Like some decks cannot. It's
definitely in his 75 because we saw it earlier in the week.
Yeah. It's on the main though.
Okay. Oh, maybe no. Maybe that was Gabe was playing against. Oh no. Who? Because Nils played against. Oh, it was Elves was playing against it and had Disenchants available to it. Yeah, it's just that like Gabe has a decent number of answers to a worship. He has Vindicate and multiple Disenchants. So here's a Duress. He just wants to look at that card, I guess.
Oh, the swords.
There's a swords. But if I have the life totals correct, that doesn't matter.
Well, he just went up to 6, and then he's going to go back down to 2 after this swing.
Oh, he's swordsing his own creature. Okay.
He swords his own creature.
Yeah. All right. I did that wrong then. I guess that's a way to stay alive.
For a turn. Nope, that's not enough.
Yeah, Cataclysm will still keep a creature alive, so...
Mm-hmm. I think we're going to the sideboards. Scoop them up, boys.
I mean, unless maybe we had the life total slightly off. Maybe Nils is above 2 life, so... But, alright, we'll keep playing for a bit. I have to think that Nils is either at... Okay, alright.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, we're right.
Just wanted a Cataclysm, I guess that's why you put him in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Alright, sideboards.
Alright, so we are evened up. Let's go over to our sideboards. I have the Terrageddon list up. I think the card that looks the most appealing is Pyroclasm right here.
Absolutely. That's definitely coming in.
A card like Ray of Revelation actually is reasonable because while it might only hit Phyrexian Arena, the ability that it still is live even if it after it gets discarded, or like if you use it once and then it answers the next Phyrexian Arena, is pretty valuable. I don't know how much like a Mulch is a card I might take out like to put something like Ray of Revelation. You can't have too many cards like that in your deck, though the scroll rack does help having cards that are really narrow. But I might be bringing in a Ray of Revelation.
What about Karmic Justice?
So the thing is, I feel like that card is mostly against Pernicious Deed or things that like destroy multiple permanents at once. Like
makes sense.
You committing a card to destroy an extra card when something gets destroyed. I guess it kind of like forces it's kind of like a flag bearer enchantment. Like it makes him use his disenchant on Karmic Justice most likely, as compared to like maybe a scroll rack or a land tax.
True.
It is something he could bring in.
Yeah, my guess is I don't the rare revelation seems fine. But like, what do you really want to take out? I think you want to take out. You probably want to take out the Aura of Silence because I don't know if that's doing very much. Because you only have to worry about the arenas, and do you want to slow them down or you want to destroy them? Paying like you said, like the 1 or 2 mana for the rare revelation is definitely better than.
I do want to look at the sideboard to see if there is anything for Gabe that might be relevant in terms of enchantments or artifacts, but I think Pyroclasm is the first card I bring in, and then
Absolutely.
Ray of Revelation I think is the second, and then Karmic Justice is probably the third. I don't know if it is better or worse than cards like Mulch or Zuran Orb or Aura of Silence. So it'll be interesting to see which cards come in from Nils. I'm going to jump over to the Deadguy deck. Here we have... So I think Withered Wretch is a card that you would bring in because while I wouldn't consider Nils like a dedicated graveyard deck, just the ability that it is attached to a 2/2 creature, I think is pretty good. And like it's another mana sink. I don't know if it like replaces something like Nantuko Shade because having too many mana sinks, they counteract each other, but could be something it brings in. I mean, like Presence of the Master is a card that is reasonable, so that counters enchantments. It does cost 4 mana, but it does counter a decent number of cards in Niels' deck. I don't know. I don't think Engineered Plagues are good enough. I would bring in the other Disenchant, I think.
Definitely bringing that in. Yeah, I think Withered Wretch is actually probably the first ones you want to bring in because of their clock and also like shrinking Terravores, getting rid of Threshold, just like you said.
What cards are you looking to cut from Gabe's deck? I think I would cut Unearth first. I think the 2 Unearth, I think, are the least impactful.
The mom seems, I don't know.
It is a good like flag bearer. Like if you sneak it before Niels has Swords of Plowshares, it coming online is pretty good. But I can understand that it does feel a little lower impact, but
the trample of the Terravore definitely makes it less enticing, But I definitely am seeing them coming in with definitely 3 Wretch and a Disenchant.
I think those are the cards I bring in. I think I'd take out 2 Unearth and then
you're gonna be on the draw for this game, right?
Maybe a Nantuko Shade and maybe a Mother of Runes, or maybe 2 Nantuko Shades. I don't know.
Yeah, I would consider taking out a Shade and a Mom or something like that. Because you're leaving in Duress, you're leaving in I think the Horror is good. Rituals is your thing. You gotta leave in Swords and Disenchant and Vindicate. Yeah. I think those are the only cuttable cards.
Could you message Niels to have him bring down his phone or whatever it is? Just have him have it on the playmat, because otherwise it's cut off screen, I think. Just so I always lose track of life, so it's nice to have the players when they have a second source. So we have players sideboarding. Their decks really haven't drastically changed. Do you think we liked the Terrageddon deck prior to the board? Does the sideboarding change your opinion?
No. I think the Pyroclasms, I think it gets even helped even more.
Sure.
Because I think pretty much that's probably the biggest, most highest impact card that's being brought in from either side.
I mean, the Withered Wretch is pretty reasonable, just like because usually you have the time to like sit around, and it picking off a couple of lands might make the Terravore a lot less formidable, and also like keeping Werebear as a 1/1 as compared to a 4/4 is a big deal. So
it's definitely impact, and I definitely would bring them in. But...
All right. Okay. So let's jump over to our player screen.
That looks better. Okay, he's got the life totals down.
Cool.
So all right. We're starting off hot and heavy. Mox Diamond, land tax. Oh, wait, no. We're playing out.
Sylvan Library.
I can get behind that. Okay. The rest is the thing. Undiscovered Paradise, Disenchant, and what's the last one?
I think it's a Ray of Revelation, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
So
choose that.
uh, Disenchant was a card that I think, is in the sideboard that we didn't really talk about, but I guess that is something that Nils is prioritizing, and there really weren't other artifacts, so it's. I think he really values,
The arena.
yeah, like fighting that
Wait, he
kind
didn't
of.
choose to discard the Ray Revolution, did he?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Does he not understand the flashback?
Well, and I mean, like in your hand, Disenchant is better than Ray of Revelation.
Right, because it hits artifacts too.
I mean, I guess that's not really relevant. Maybe Gabe knows if there's like no artifacts, but um, yeah, I don't know.
Oh wait, looks like he just took 4. I like to be a little aggressive with Sylvan so early.
Yeah, especially like if you have to use it at one point, using it early is better because you're gonna have access to that extra card for more turns. So if you're planning on using it, which I think a lot of the times you should, there are players I think that are a little too timid with their Sylvan Library. I think using it early is best.
Just feels shade. Okay.
Seems kind of shady, right?
Yep, so totally shady.
Oh, he did not have to take a damage. That is not a Caves of Koilos. That is a Tainted Field.
Oh,
All right.
I did the same thing.
The arts are similar, but yeah, there's some
Similar.
different colors in there. So
That's like I was watching the other night on Andrew's stream, and I was like, I think he's tapping his Flooded Strand for mana.
and as a Sky Cloud Expanse, yeah, those cards. I think they're both done by Rob Alexander, and they're very similar.
Sure.
Yeah,
Almost identical.
yeah. Well, there's only like as an artist, like are you really like inspired differently to draw like a Flooded Strand as compared to a Sky Cloud Expanse? Like I don't know, like I mean those things are, especially if they're doing the exact same thing. Like it's hard to, yeah, it's hard to differentiate those from an artist's perspective. So
a Sky Cloud Expanse should be in the clouds or something, which is something really wild. Okay, Wasteland on that. Good. That's gonna matter. You're ahead on mana. Now you're by 2 mana. And you get rid of one of his best fixers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you attack with this Mongoose? Will you take that trade? No, probably not.
So it's kind of that same situation that we talked about before. Like, if you think you're going to get to Threshold in a reasonable time, then I think the Mongoose, you do want to keep it around, because in order for Gabe to take advantage of the shade, he needs to leave mana open, which is a cost. But if the problem is like if you just attack him for 1, Gabe could take 1 and then just clock back for 2 without spending any mana. So I think at this point, I think I do like holding it back. So
I don't think it's doing.
So this is a Caves of Koilos. So if he's tapping that one for colored mana, it will deal him damage.
Okay, attack. You take the 2.
Yeah, because just 1 pump would
do it. So he's at 14. Okay. Yes. The Disenchant.
Disenchant. Wasteland is the other card, which I would imagine is going to be used on the caves. So
almost immediately.
I would think. So the question is, if Gabe isn't using his mana, do you feel like you would trade 1-for-1 damage at that point to pump the shade? I think I would. Like I think you're the aggressor in this matchup, and I'd be looking.
Especially now.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it if you have like a Swords of Plowshares in your hand, and you're hoping maybe like plays in a Werebear or a Terravore that you're going to use it. But if you don't have that in your hand, I think I would trade 1 point of damage to you to deal it to your opponent.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, either way, it's probably going to go away right now.
Yeah, I would think. Okay, so he's paying for life.
I think it needs to.
Yeah.
He needs to dig a little. I actually like that.
There are how many cards in this graveyard? 4, is that right now?
4, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of a sticky situation for Nils. Like, I can't think of like one card that really turns things around completely. So I feel like it's kind of just an accumulation of cards that he needs to. So he's casting Armageddon here. So interesting that he is giving up 3 of his lands just to kill an extra land, because we did see a Wasteland.
But he just hit threshold.
Oh, okay. All right. So that makes sense. So he's getting aggressive. Is this the time where you would get aggressive with your Nimble Mongoose, though? I guess if he just has a swamp that it's going to trade. But if you have a Sylvan Library in play, I feel like you'd be okay with trading. I don't know. Because now, if you're going down to 7...
Yeah, I think the attack is the more questionable part for sure. If you just hold back, and because I think you need to buy yourself some more time. Because that Mongoose is sticking around, and it's going to be at least... He needs to hit... Gabe would have to hit 3 straight land drops to get above.
Okay, he's doing it again, too.
Okay.
There could be a second one. Or a Werebear. No?
Need something.
Man, he is very aggressive with that Mongoose.
Yeah. Swords has to be coming soon. We're not seeing it. Pyroclasm would be great.
Yep. Yeah, that could be a card where you could be a little aggressive with your life total and hoping that your opponent just kind of goes for the throat playing a bunch of creatures. Mm-hmm. And then you're able to sweep 2 of them away.
We definitely greatly reduced Gabe's ability to do anything by hitting that Geddon. Yeah, I don't think that Geddon was that.
The thing is, though, like, because you had Wasteland, I feel like it's just easier just to Wasteland the caves and then Armageddon later.
Okay, so we're extending.
Okay. Well, here's a Withered Wretch off a Dark Ritual. And then, right. So this Shade only got in for... Wait, did this Shade attack?
Yeah, it did, but it only got in for 2.
Well, Nils didn't update his life. Oh, there's a Swords. Yeah. Oh, so he's...
Swords the Wretch.
Okay.
Okay.
But Nils should be at 5, right?
5, yeah. And I think I just put Gabe back up to 16.
Yeah, I gave it 16, but Nils still has his life total at 7. I don't know if you want to message them, because we both have him at 5.
I think they know.
So as Neil's looking at his Sylvan Library activation, see, he just went down to 3, but I think that's 1. You said you did.
Can you just take another card?
Yes. You did message him. I think maybe that's what they're talking about now. All right, they should realize it. I guess at this point. Is he backing up the Sylvan Library activation? Maybe he's put himself back up to 5. So
yeah, I wouldn't go to 1. Yeah. Okay. I think they got it right though.
Okay, so
yeah, he's definitely 5.
All right. Well, now that that's cleared up, so. If he's just adding a Windswept Heath, that might just be so that he can shuffle his Sylvan Library.
Seems fair.
I can see definitely why you would want to put a card back if that's one of the cards that you have in your hand. Being at 1 with the Windswept Heath is not very good.
Not very good at all.
Yeah, but at least even if another swamp comes down, the Nantuko Shade still trades with the Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, you slam that trade now.
So disenchant on... Alright, I mean...
It's fine.
At this point, he's at so low a life. I mean, I guess he's fetching, so he would get a shuffle, so...
Yeah, he still gets to
I would
shuffle.
say maybe Mox Diamond as a card you want to go after, but looks like okay. Now we're back in focus. Oh, and now we got a Terravore coming down.
Wait. Ooh, he didn't attack with Tuka Shade. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand that from a perspective from Gabe, is he's thinking if I draw enough lands, I'll eventually be able to outclass the Mongoose. Yeah. But
oh, that was a great rip by Nils then. Saying that Terravore. He's big. He's just gonna get bigger next turn when he actually can attack.
Do you know how big it is?
Large. I don't know.
Large.
Why is that Undiscovered Paradise turn?
I think mana from he Dark Ritualed and had Withered Wretch, or like before it got plowed, it exiled.
Yeah. Okay, so there's definitely a Windswept Heath. There's a whatever he pitched for the diamond. There's a Wasteland at least, and whatever. So 4, 5, 6 maybe.
Yeah, because 2 lands have been destroyed for Gabe, or is it only? Yeah, no. 1 has been wastelanded, 2 have been destroyed, so 3 are in Gabe's graveyard.
Oh, and the Geddon.
Yeah, and then
so there's a bunch of. I think there's a bunch of lands in graveyard, and there's about to be 2 more. This thing's beefy. Lurdwife. I gotta tell you, Terravore was one of the very first cards when I got to this format. I was like, that's gonna be cool. I saw its connection with the Armageddon right away, but I didn't see the land tax scroll racket being the engine to make the whole deck work.
Yeah, I like one of those cards because it's like I feel like if you're winning with a Terravore, it's because you did some work for it. I feel like a lot of the time, and I feel like that's just I feel like a good feeling, like to win with or to lose to. I don't know. It just feels like a fair card.
Very fair.
All right. We'll try and figure out. I mean, if Gabe's at 12, I have to imagine this Terravore is bigger than a 6/6.
It's huge.
The question is a block from Gabe, does it change the clock? Probably not, because then the Nimble Mongoose would just come in as well.
I can't imagine it changes the clock at all.
So I think Gabe, what does he need? I mean, if he
swords.
But the thing is, he doesn't have a white source. Like if he had
not anymore.
Right. So
all right, they just put him to what? I can't even remember. It's put him in 2. That was a 10/10.
All right. He's a beefy guy.
Told you. 3-mana 10/10 trample. I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a current day card.
It really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gains you 8 life and also has haste.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna put up one of the decks. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. So.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Are we on a quick break?
I mean, if you want to keep him entertained, otherwise, sure.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom too.
All right. Then I'll just mute. Yep.
We're back.
Yes. Okay. So players are shuffling up. Let's just go back to that screen. I was able to switch pants. I was wearing jeans from earlier today, and one thing that I have done in this pandemic is wear a lot of sweatpants, and now every pair of pants that is not of sweatpants is uncomfortable.
It's kind of true. Yeah. Especially when you're just around the house.
Oh yeah, well I work from home, so that's all I do. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you ever leave the house, though, you can't wear sweatpants. That's given up.
I don't know.
Is that the old Seinfeld quote or whatever?
I don't know. I feel like culture will probably change. I mean, I'm not saying that like corporate America is going to allow sweatpants, but I mean, I just feel like if we've been wearing sweatpants for 9 months or 12 months, that I certainly don't want to go back. I'll wear sweatpants in public. I don't know.
That's where you got to get the athleisure. Where it's a little bit nicer looking.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to know if the stream is commenting on my dad doing this work behind me.
Well, they can't see that it's cropped, so they
good.
They can't see him. So
he's been kind of wandering around on the back.
No, it's very, very. It's hard. Like he has to be like directly behind you, and your head blocks most of it. So
I figured. Okay.
He's trying to get does he have a Twitch channel that he wants to plug? Your dad?
No, he does
He's
not.
trying to get his face shown so he can get some added viewers, maybe a few subscribers.
Viral marketing. Yeah.
Yes, so it's like guerrilla marketing. There you go.
Exactly.
Does your dad know what Twitch is?
I haven't brought that up, but
Okay.
he knows what I'm doing.
Okay.
I told him that I was going to be playing a lot of Magic while I'm in this quarantine with him, and he was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, that game I played when I was like, way back in the day." He's like, "Oh,
Did he ever play it?
no,
No. Okay.
no," but he knew my brother and I did back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know if I told this on stream, but like when I was little and I got real into the game, my dad like I couldn't drive yet, so my dad took me a lot of the places. And at one point, we convinced him to learn how to play, and I'm like teaching him how to play, but I was playing like with an astral slide deck. And I'm like, okay, so
geez.
at the end of your turn, I'm going to cycle out your creature, and then because of the rules, it just doesn't come back until the end of the next turn. And he's just like, you're making up rules. Come on, man. And he thought I was cheating, and I was not. But he's like, I also probably like didn't. There's a way to teach someone and like ease them in, and
Very much so.
don't just hand them like a type 2 deck kind of thing, and just have them play with like creatures and spells and whatnot. And I didn't do that. I was a little kid,
No.
so he did not last long. So
I would like to check out the jumpstart stuff. See if that's
I really love that product.
actually kind of gets to people.
I've played it a couple of times, and it's the perfect balance of like if someone like me who is like pretty competitive just wants to play, it's like a nice even footing, and then it also like works for the level of that casual of it, just like that's kind of what I expect like kitchen table Magic to be, and it's just like a perfect level of like I could play against like someone who is a very casual Magic player with Jumpstart because the deck level is like very similar. It's not too complex that they're going to feel overwhelmed because they're not playing with like really complicated cards, but I'm not going to feel like I'm playing with bad cards per se. The decks would be like at a very reasonable level, and I don't know, it just hits a really good sweet spot. If you haven't tried it out, I recommend that product. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to check it out because like I got my girlfriend knows I play this all the time, but she doesn't really know what I'm doing. So if I could just get her like kind of like this is what it is, here's the game kind of thing. So all right, turn 1, duress.
Yeah, it's something
I
that
left the mulches in.
Gabe said pretty consistently. I mean, I guess an argument for the mulch is if Gabe is like working on that discard aspect, like Garrett's Verdict kind of thing, and getting cards out, that mulch is a way to kind of build back up. I don't know.
I think you gotta.
It'll just
Swords is the most relevant card in this.
it'll be interesting just to see what cards he took out, because to bring in, because we've seen sideboard cards of Rare Revelation and a Disenchant, so we know he's bringing in cards. It'll be interesting to ask what cards that he took out. Well, Mulch was the card taken. Interesting.
I would have taken swords.
So it's swords and aura silence are the other cards. That's really interesting. I mean, Mulch would not be the card that I thought would be chosen. Huh.
No.
I'm trying to think what type of hand Gabe would have in order to really fear Mulch. All right, will we see the Dauthi Horror?
Okay. Shadow is such a weird ability.
Yeah,
Flavorful, I suppose.
Yeah, from a design aspect, I don't think it's very good. I mean, like,
no, it's pretty boring.
Well, it limits interaction, and interaction is one of the things that makes the game really good.
No, I totally agree.
All right, so
attack for 1, roar.
Oh yeah, you're not able to block the 2/1, so.
Nope. Second one.
Okay.
Plains. It's got swords. Do you swords this? No, probably not. I'm more worried about Hippie and Shade.
It's definitely defendable. I mean, like, I would be more afraid of Hypnotic Specter for sure. I think
either way, I'm taking this damage, whatever, and making him play another creature.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a big proponent of actually taking the damage and letting. Oh, okay, now that that's depressing, I think you just fire this off then, unless there's another card that.
The Aura of Silence is the other card in hand we know about. Um,
Hmm.
but I think I would rather have. I think I would use the swords and lose the Aura of Silence if there aren't any other cards that are targets. I don't know.
Because right now he can't play unless he rituals out the arena. He's not playing the arena this same turn. Huh.
Though, like, you can't put him on having Arena. He would have to have drawn it in the first few turns. Because I feel like if you had Duress and Arena in your hand, wouldn't you be taking Aura of Silence instead of Mulch? That Mulch pick seems really weird.
Totally.
So, like,
it's weird in general.
I
totally agree.
I
think you have to take him off Arena.
Right.
You have to assume that he hadn't had Arena.
I mean,
cast out the rest.
There have been draw steps in between, so obviously he could have drawn one. But
right.
If I were betting, I would think that Gabe does not have an Arena in his hand.
And that's the only enchantment, right?
I mean, there's Engineer Plague, but I can't imagine that is something that's on Nils's mind. Presence of the
instead of a 10/10.
Presence of the Master is a card that maybe Nils is thinking about, and that could be a card like why he brought in an extra disenchant. Because if he's thinking that Gabe's bringing in Presence of the Master and to shut down the artifacts, like Aura of Silence, I guess it's still in
Enlightened Tutor.
Okay.
Oh, that's a Enlightened Tutor. That's a. Yeah, you definitely fire that off.
What are you getting here?
So now we still have.
Just land tax? Sylvan Library.
Sylvan Library. Okay, so he's got 3 cards. We know one. We know 2 of them. Actually, we know all 3. My guess is he takes.
I'd take the swords.
I think you have to take the swords.
Well, he doesn't even have a third.
Takes the Aura of Silence, so maybe he does.
He doesn't even have a third white source at this point.
No.
I don't know. I feel like I would just want to be clocking him with that Dauthi Horror.
Okay, clock away. All right, 18. It's going to be a really interesting game, actually. Okay. So he's only up to 3 in his
especially because you know this next turn, like, unless you're disrupting... Okay, I was going to say, unless you're disrupting the hand again, you know your opponent would be able to Sylvan Library and Swords the next turn. So
Gabe just gained 3 because of the Wasteland in the hand. But took 1 to do it, so he's at 21. Yeah, sounds right. Gerard.
How close are those mongoose to being 3/3s?
1, 2, 3. I think
there are 5 cards.
5 in there, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe part of the reason why Mulch was taken is was Nimble Mongoose in his hand at the time? Like getting Threshold?
Yes.
Okay, then that might have been what's on his mind is he didn't want to turbo Threshold and thought maybe he could race better if the Mongoose were 1/1s.
Mom, why won't you let me attack?
Yeah.
I think this is another instance where I think Nils probably takes some damage to get some cards.
I agree.
Even if they're not cards you want, they just dig deeper.
Yeah.
At least 1 extra. Is he taking all of them? What was thinking? All right, he's at 16 right now, so I don't think you can take 8.
I mean, you could if you're able to.
One of them is the swords.
Yeah.
If you have a way to get rid of this horror right here, then then maybe you take all 8.
I guess the problem is if Mother of Runes weren't in play, you could take 8 and then be attacking for 6, and be in decent shape for the race. I guess Shadow makes it awkward, so maybe not. But with the Mother of Runes, then probably not because you'd only be able to be getting in 3 per turn after this.
Mm-hmm. Right. But if you did just get his swords from this pile, right, and he swords the horror, then he just has a 1/1 and you're clocking for 3, so you're ahead. But it's a 7-turn clock because she's at 21. You're only attacking. I don't know. It's hard to say. This is interesting.
So he's still thinking of the Sylvan Library. That's where we're at right now. Yeah. I think you want to take at least an extra card, but...
At least an extra card, I would say. I think that's what he's figuring.
Okay. It looks like
12.
4 life is paid.
Looks like he has... Oh, wait. He did attack for 2. He is at 19. Okay. Okay. Now what you got? This is kind of close right now.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder...
Go? No. That can't be right.
Well, he doesn't want to trade a Mongoose for a Mother of Runes, I think, at this point. I guess that's his art.
Yes. I don't think they're taking it either.
All right. Well, we see this little shadow guy. I mean, he's definitely made the difference. And was there an opportunity? And so I guess the point, like when Nils cast Enlightened Tutor instead of Swords of Plowshares, that was kind of an interesting point because this shade has done, I guess this Dauthi Horror has done 6 damage, but it is
6.
I mean, it's representing, like, it's difficult. Other than Source of Plowshares, it is going to get in there 5 more times.
Especially now that this mom's going to protect it.
Yeah. Well, at some point, the Mother of Runes might have to be on blocking duty, so.
Mm-hmm.
So, still wasn't able to make those Nimble Mongoose any bigger. So Enlightened Tutor is one of the cards that is in the sideboard of Gabe's deck. So he has 2. So is he getting like a Presence of the Master here? Okay.
There.
So all right, I'll bring this one up because
it's a wonky one. Bring the original art, the one that looks like Albert Einstein.
I can't bring up Legends cards on my. It's not one of my options. It's because it's technically not a pre-modern set. So I will have to bring up the Urza Saga one.
Bummer. It's great art.
Yeah. So it's a 4-mana enchantment. Whenever a player plays an enchantment, you counter it. So I have to imagine that Nils kind of was expecting this card, given that he brought in Rave Revelation and Disenchant, and prior to board, the only target for those was Phyrexian Arena. Okay, so this Presence of the Master gets ritualed out.
Why not?
So that shuts down land tax. It shuts down, I mean, potentially worship. Here's a Rave Revelation.
Nice.
I mean, I feel like that's a small win for Nils. That's like got to be a good feeling when your opponent Enlightened Tutors for something, and then you have a Rave Revelation to take care of it. So you still
ritualed it out.
Yeah, that's true too. So basically, you got like 3 cards for 1, or half a card almost. Okay, Mox Diamond. Pitching a forest. I guess I'd say even if he didn't have a land in his hand, he would have the option to sacrifice the Mox Diamond.
Why? He just hit threshold. 1, 2, 3,
I believe so. Yeah.
5, 6. He just hits that. Oh no.
So he's not willing to trade.
It's not even a trade.
Well, no. It could make him deal 1 more damage. Like if he attacks with both creatures. Okay, so we're still at Nils' turn. That makes sense. So I'm guessing this Mother of Rune's gonna block and give us a protection from green.
Okay. Take 3 down to 16. Okay.
Yeah, because now Gabe has the option just to attack for 3, so I think that was like the decision is like, do I want to attack and potentially shorten the clock so that it'd be a 4-turn clock instead of a 5-turn clock?
I see. But now, so Gabe's now at 16.
The problem is if he's attacking for 3 and Nils is attacking for 6, then he would. Let's see, it would be 7, 10, 4, 4, 1. Yeah, so just as the board sits, if they were to attack with both things, though, then Nils would win the race. But you could probably go attack twice with the Mother Runes and then use the Mother Runes back to block. So complicated math, but it's an interesting situation. So just the Dauthi Horror gets in for 2. Oh, so wait, Nils is at 6? I had him at 8. Okay.
He just took 2.
All right.
So now that puts Gabe down to 13. Okay.
And scroll rack.
Scroll rack. That's fun.
It's
Not really.
not great with
Have
no
any
cards
of
in hand, yeah.
No. But it might dig you one deeper one time to get you the one
Yeah,
card you need.
this
Who
is a
knows?
spot, yeah, where he might need to do that. Because, I mean, one turn difference of, like, getting a Terravore one turn earlier could make the difference, because we're just in a racing situation.
Yep.
The rack. Oh, no.
Ooh, nasty. He crushed me with those, too.
All right.
I did not think he was going to bring the rack in. That puts you to 1, buddy.
So this...
That's the death knell.
Yeah.
You got nothing. Nothing's going to get you out of this. See, this is why Gabe's been successful with this deck, is because he's been a little bit more aggressive with it. I did not think he'd bring the racks in against a land tax deck.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, he's able to...
Game 5.
To equalize, yeah.
I play a lot of rack in old school. Man, I love that card. It's just like... Because it's a great late game top deck. Because a lot of games, especially in that format, end up as top deck wars. So, like, it just can really just slam down and be like, you're going to take a bunch from this.
Okay.
This is it's on the clock.
So I have brought back the Deadguy Ale list. So the cards we have seen played in the post-board games. We've seen Enlightened Tutor. We've seen the Rack. We've seen
Presence of the Master.
Presence of the Master, and we've seen Withered Wretch. So that's a lot of cards. So it'll be interesting to think. And I mean, we saw Mother Runes, and that was a card that we were talking about taking out just for bringing in the 4 cards that we were talking about. So it'll be interesting to see what the sideboard plan was, given that I feel like we've seen Dauthi Horror, we've seen Dark Ritual, we've seen Duress, we've seen Garrett's Verdict. We have not seen... Have we seen Phyrexian Arena in a sideboarded game?
No, we haven't.
Have we seen Vindicate in a sideboarded game? Those just seem like weird cards to take out. Have we seen Swords to Plowshares in a sideboard game? I mean...
Yes, we did. We saw that in Game 3, for sure.
Okay. So it just seems like all the cards that we were thinking of taking out have been left in, and even more cards have been brought in. So, and then from the Terrageddon deck, we saw Disenchant was brought in. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, we haven't seen as much. We aren't as sure.
The Pyroclasms, I'm sure.
I guess we saw the Mulch still in there, which was one of the cards we thought might come out.
Exactly. So, do we really think he brought in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards potentially? Or do you think he brought in like one copy of the Rack?
So the card or the
one copy of Presence of the Master.
That's a possibility. Like if you have 2 Enlightened Tutor and 1 Rack, also like you might bring in the Rack on the draw. I don't know, like, and not on the play. I'm not sure if that is something that, like, it depends on whether you're on the play or the draw. If you want that card, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, these have been good games.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, that last game was really interesting. Yeah.
That was actually our quickest game, I think.
Yeah, it just felt like a lot of it compacted down to the duresses were really interesting, and like Nils, whether he wanted to Enlighten Tutor or Swords of Plowshares from that position was really interesting, and the shape of the game really would have changed depending on those decisions.
I think the most critical card in that entire matchup was the Gerard's Verdict to get rid of the swords. When he was able to do that, to get that out of his hand, so that he couldn't interact with his clock. And that was pretty huge. Because I think that was a Duress and a Gerard's Verdict in the same. I mean, Gerard's Verdict is basically the reason why I played this deck.
Yeah, it's definitely...
It's not quite Hindu Torak, but it's basically Hindu Torak, you know? Nope.
Can you hear background noise from me? No,
you sound great.
Okay, I hear something from my kid, but I don't know. My door is slightly ajar, so if it becomes an issue, let me know.
breaking news: Trump refuses to concede. No plans to invite Biden to White House. I don't know if that's really news. Just saw that pop up on CNN.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Game 5.
All right. So we have seen Nils has mulliganed a decent amount each of these games, right? I think he has at least mulliganed, I think, almost every game.
I think so.
He's looking for a 7 that can get him there.
Okay, Nils on the play though. Yeah, he's had good. I mean, he did go down to 5 2 games ago. He's gone to 5 at least once or twice. I can't remember. I think he's in the tank. Real good. Good enough.
I don't know, I feel like the more someone hesitates, the more likely they are that they're going to mulligan, but maybe he's just thinking how he's going to sequence his first few turns. That's definitely a possibility. There are a lot of things that the Terrageddon deck can do, especially when you with land tax, if you're going to try and stay under 1, or if you're going to play a Mox Diamond right away, which land are you going to discard and when are you going to play it, kind of thing. Or like, are you going to sequence and try and Wasteland a non-basic right away? I don't know. So there's definitely situations where you're keeping a 7 and just thinking about how you want to sequence things.
I hope they both keep their 7 for this final game, but we'll find out. He's in the tank on this one. Yeah, if you're taking this long, I think you're gonna pitch it. I mean, I've had those calls. I've played a couple games recently where I've just like stared at them. You take pictures of them and be like, okay, send them to your friends later. And you're like, hey, what do you guys think about this one?
Yeah.
Or how do you sequence it?
All right, Gabe's getting impatient. You can see his fingers tapping.
I'm with you, man.
All right.
Okay.
He chose to mulligan. So, looks like Gabe.
Oh, they both are. Okay.
Immediately senses back. So he probably had a bad hand. He just didn't want to say anything until Nils made a decision.
I mean, he technically doesn't have to. So
yeah.
Do you remember when maybe it was about 10 years ago, where it was one player,
yeah,
the first player finished all their mulligans first, and then like it just took forever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, especially like competitive play that like you just wait there and you'd like sit there and like you're just hoping you just watch your opponent because you're just like hoping they mulligan because you're not like drawing your cards, so you're just like waiting and watching. You're like, I hope you draw terrible cards so that you have to mulligan and then yeah, I remember when they changed that where just like both players can resolve mulligans like basically at the same time. Obviously there is some sequence to it, but like it's like this just makes sense. Like it just makes tournaments run smoother. Like the flow of the game just is better.
Yeah, I remember I was playing in some like Star City event 10 years ago or so where that happened, where the guy like just he was hawing over every mulligan decision. And of course, I knew I was going to throw mine back, but he ended up going to 5. But like every time he was taking 4 minutes or whatever it is. But all of a sudden, like we're still in like haven't started game 1 and we're like 20 minutes in almost.
That's probably at the point where everyone like piled shuffled in between games too.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I've never been. I piled shuffle like once before match or whatever to make sure that like, I had 60 cards. But I'm not a big pile shuffler. But like once is definitely enough.
I don't even do it anymore. I just count my sideboard.
Yeah, that's true. Double check the sideboard.
I mean, obviously there's still a possibility like you drop a card on the ground or something, but yeah, in the most part, I don't even check to see if my deck has 60 cards.
Actually, I was playing somebody this morning, and my deck was actually I didn't pile shuffle because I was kind of running late or whatever, and forgot to check it. And there we go, good start. And then I realized I had a 61st card, but because we're casual format, I was like, oh, I drew my sideboard card, and then I looked and I was like, oh, this is just a 61st card, so I just screwed up.
Oh.
But so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. He was like, just cycle it, put it away. It's casual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's definitely my only sideboard card that's in this deck. Because sideboard cards stand out, for the most part.
Yeah.
Especially that deck I was playing was like a red deck, so this card stood out as like it's not in my main deck.
Your Pyroblast that you drew, yeah.
It was actually an artifact mutation.
Oh, I love that card. Oh, I wish that card were
about it recently.
I wish it were a little bit better. I think it's like playable, but I don't think it's great. But I think it's just so cool.
It's so cool, and it also because stacks or it'd be great against the mud. You know what I mean? If people played smokestacks, it'd be great against it. But it's not played a whole bunch.
Yeah, I just like the design of that card. It's just, and awesome. I don't even think in pre-modern it's not like the artifacts are that big. The most tokens you're probably getting out of something on average is 3. I mean, you're happy probably if you blew up a 3. I don't know. So, but yeah, I like
Tangle Wire is probably your most common card. You're killing with that.
I like the design.
And you're getting the best value. It is cool. I mean, it's gonna be an X for 1. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's already a 1 for 1.
All right, so is this Disenchant's going for the land tax?
It has to, yeah.
I mean, it could get the Mox Diamond.
Diamond's pretty sweet over here.
Yeah. Wasteland takes out the Tainted Field.
Ooh, Terravore. Yeah, come on. It's a 2/2. It's a 3/3. Yeah. Anyway, he has the Undiscovered Paradise in hand. Okay, we're rumbling. We're after the rumbles. I mean, that's going to be bigger than anything he could put down right now. Double black.
Withered Wretch is probably the best. Wretch is fine. That's the best answer, I think, to the Terravore.
That's the best answer you could have. Okay. Get rid of that.
This is a interesting fight because if just with 3 mana, he's able to kill the Terravore.
That is really awesome, actually.
And it doesn't even have to be over this one turn. He could split it up.
Multiple turns, right?
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Mulch.
Well, we're trying to combat the Withered Wretch with Mulch.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I guess the lands go to your hand, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got Threshold now, but it's still only a 3/3, I think.
Did he hit any lands?
0.
Okay.
Not a great Mulch.
I mean,
but actually, might have been what he needed it to do.
Making your Werebear a 4/4, and it might only be for it's temporarily, given that there's a Withered Wretch in play. It might be what he needed though. I think this is 7.
I think it's attack for 7. Yeah.
So yeah, this is like a race, but in a different way. It's damage, but then also Gabe has a way to interact with the Withered Wretch. So yeah, I think I'd take this opportunity and just kill the Terravore right here.
Yeah, get rid of the 3 lands.
But I get
no. Is he trying to get ahead on board?
I don't know, but you're also probably making the Werebear. Does it make it a 1/1 as well? Maybe not with that Mulch. Is it still Threshold if you remove 2 lands?
I think he got up to 8.
Okay.
He only got up to 8 cards in his. He had.
I don't know. Then just removing 3 cards seems pretty enticing.
Very enticing. You literally spent no cards to kill a creature and give another one -3/-3.
Well, especially because, and I think you want to do it now because if you pass priority and he has a fetch land, then you're able to keep the Terravore around. Also, a Wasteland could be another card too. Well, I guess the Wasteland you can respond to. Oh no! It would go to the graveyard. So yeah.
Dark Ritual.
So it's 3 mana.
We have 4 mana.
4 mana.
We have 4 mana.
A Vindicate.
Okay. So 1 full. Nope. One floating.
There's 2 mana floating.
Okay, so I think it's just the 1/1 or 2/2 now.
He exiled. How many cards? 2? 2 lands?
I think it's 2 lands.
Okay, so he does have a Wasteland for the
Terravore was a.
So here, there's that situation that we talked about of Wasteland comes down, and because he didn't I mean, I think that Terravore was a 3/3 unless we missed
I think it might have
something.
been a 4/4 because he
Okay,
had 2 lands in
then
his
that
hand that gave him.
definitely changes um, what I was talking about. Ooh,
Ooh, there it is. Oh my god, that's huge. Okay, so this should only be attacked for 2, I believe.
well,
Or 3.
I mean, it's
3.
definitely is. I was gonna say it's definitely got to be more than two, otherwise that Terravore is gonna die. So what
Okay,
do
I
we
think it's 3.
what do we have, Gabe at? Can
I
you
got Gabe
ask?
at 10.
Well, can you ask them to put the move the phone over, just so we can make sure. But yeah, that Pyroclasm was, even though it only answered one card, it was very key.
Yep, okay, I got it right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's at 10.
Okay.
Alright, Shade.
Well, so then the Terravore was a 3/3, and he did have the option just to spend his mana to kill it. Then I think.
You did, yep. Alright, he's at 9. Rumble. Make it bigger. Pitch that. Go to 19. Make it 4. Put you at 5.
It's kind of interesting. Like the Terravore is cool. Like it's hard to do combat math against the Terravore because it can get bigger like pretty quickly without like spending too much like time or resources. Like a wasteland can really get it bigger, just like a fetch land, and those are things you do, and you can still progress your board in other ways. But the Terravore can get bigger.
That's awesome. Synergies, and not to mention, and then they get the big swings with like a Geddon, where all of a sudden it gets like +8/+8.
Yeah. So there's a Vindicate,
Vindicate
targeting the Terravore. Okay, so he takes a damage.
Yep, so he goes on a 4.
So is this? Yeah, this is coming in for 2.
For 2. Okay.
All right. Well,
Here comes the race back.
Yeah, Nils doesn't have too many threats in his deck, but pretty much all the ones that he's going to find are going to be pretty big, like Werebears and Nimble Mongoose and Terravores.
Mm-hmm.
Though the Shade does a reasonable job against 2 of those 3.
Tempo definitely swung. 1.
Pumping once, it looks like.
Okay, 14.
All right. Does Gabe have extra pressure to follow this up with? You have to think so if he's not using his mana with the Shade. Unearth. That was a card that we had talked about taking out, so it would be interesting to see how things are sideboarded. And that brings back the Withered Wretch, and that could make the Terravore that Nils would like to draw less impactful. So he didn't use the Withered Wretched on the turn. That seems like a oversight.
Took.
He pumped.
So he should be.
Oh, he did not pump. Okay, so he just attacked for 4. What is his mana tap because he's exiling cards now?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like at this point, I think Gabe's advantaged.
Oh, completely.
I don't know what's in Nils's hand, but he has all the mana to play his spells, right? I mean, one could be a Cataclysm. That could be a card that you don't really want to play from this position.
Nope.
But I think you almost would have to. I guess you're only reducing. Yeah, you're reducing a decent amount of life. Yeah, these games have been really back and forth, especially this last one. I definitely put Nils' advantage to win, but at this point, so how much did this attack for? Is it at least 5? 5, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, get rid of the card. Man, hold it off. It's running swords right here.
Yeah, from this spot, like it's pretty. I think the card he just needs to play around is like the last Pyroclasm, and just so he long as he doesn't use all his mana, I guess. But yeah, I guess yeah. No, he needs it right now because he's attacking for 5. Yeah, he goes to 0. So that we see a lot of land and a land tax. Interesting.
Wow. Good match.
All right.
Very close.
I'm gonna jump over so that we can check in with the players and talk about the matchup. And so let's listen in to what they have to say.
Okay.
That was insane.
I drew dead, really dead.
In that last game? Yeah. I was surprised. You got nothing going in that last game.
Yeah. Just drawing dead cards.
Hey guys, can you hear us? We have you unmuted.
I don't think they can.
All right.
I'm just messaging now.
Hey there.
Hello.
Well, that was a exciting conclusion. That matchup was
a ton of fun.
Yeah, it definitely had a lot of interesting points. What was your take on the matchup coming in? Did you feel like one deck had the advantage, or kind of what did you feel? How did you feel like the games were going to play out? And did they go that way, or did something different happen?
You asking me or Nils?
Either or.
Go ahead, Nils. You can go first.
Okay, I can go first. I think I'm slightly favored in this matchup. I think especially in game 1. My green creature is outclassing his creature. He has no way to it's more of a creature battle, I think. And yeah, like the Nimble Mongooses, for instance, no way to remove them, so they are pretty good. Then in the post-board games, I think it's quite even, but I think this is quite interesting actually, because since the deck lists are known, I know what he's sideboarding.
Sure.
So I know he's not playing any sweepers, so I can just deploy all my creatures to the board without playing Perish.
Okay.
So that changed the whole game plan, actually. I think. Because then just deploy the Werebears and all the stuff and just attack. Unfortunately, I didn't throw that much creatures. So yeah, the
last game we thought you had it slam dunked, and then also
Yeah, but I drew blank for like 6-7 turns in a row.
Yeah.
It was really painful. Actually, also the fourth game I drew blanks for the Sylvan. I think I drew 4 lands, Disenchant, Ever of Silence, and a Revelation. So like against 7 draws in a row.
You had that many in a row.
That killed me.
I didn't realize you were drawing dead that long. I felt like you were still putting pressure on. So I thought he was favored for sure, because I'm like, I'm resource light and resource greedy, and he just has ways to, like, the Wastelands, the Cataclysm, like everything, just deny me resources. And if he can get that off and play the scroll rack game, there's not. I mean, I don't have enough ways to get rid of all the artifacts and enchantments that he can use at his disposal.
Right.
Especially pre-board.
Yeah.
Post-board, I feel like I had a little bit, but.
Did you move in like 11 cards?
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
What cards did you take out?
I took out 2 and then 3 Dauthi Horrors. I took out 1 Mom. I took out 2. I took out I just took out a lot of threats to try to like to put in more like answers, basically.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I feel like I needed answers for everything. What else? I put in. Yeah, what else did I take out? I'm looking now. Oh, I took out the arenas because I died to the arena. Like, unlike the last game when I played the Devourer, and I feel like arena was good because he's not pressuring my life total till he is. Like, I died the game that I had. Did I have arena for 1 game or 2?
I think
the first game.
Yeah, and so I took out 2 arenas because honestly, like, I'm okay playing slow and playing the long game, trying to just answer threats. Because otherwise, I'm going to die to my own arena. I feel like with him, like he keeps putting enough pressure on me.
Interesting.
It probably was a terrible choice, honestly.
It's a tough one to figure out. So, Mike and guys, I gotta get going. But
Okay.
Yeah.
great games, good match. And so if you guys want to do more post
Who
game,
was
I'll
the guy
listen
sweeping
later.
the floor? I want to know.
That's my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying to start his own Twitch channel.
Yes.
Sweeping dad. So, okay, I gotta get going. But it's good to talk to you guys, and good luck in the
Thank you,
future,
Jared.
Gabe.
Thanks
Bye.
for joining us, Jared. Yeah.
Bye.
The racks I didn't put in until game 4.
Okay. Yeah, when that came down, that was like pretty clutch. But I guess you had, you were dealing damage with, I forgot what was the source, but like
The horror.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
horror.
Yeah, but yeah, that also was just another card that seemed he didn't have any cards in his hand, and yeah. So
Why didn't you swords the horror? I feel like you had a swords in your hand.
he chose to play Enlightened Tutor instead.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, talking about that opening hand, you chose to take Mulch with Duress. Can you explain the thought process behind that?
Because I had the second duress.
Okay.
I had
But
the second
like,
duress
what are
in
you
my hand.
worried about Mulch doing? I guess.
What was I worried about? You know what? I think I misthought what mulch was, to be honest. But I saw. I think I confused it with like not Guy's Blessing, whatever. Take a land from the graveyard. But it was a lower casting cost than Aura, and I plan to take Aura next time around. Because I had the second duress already.
Okay.
I think actually it was correct to take the mulch
Why is that?
because I didn't have any white mana.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that that's what I thought specifically, but I felt like it had such synergy with the scroll rack and the land tax, and that's how he had been getting me with scroll rack and land tax. That's what it was. Now that I'm thinking about it, and like, I could just picture him.
Oh well. Gabe, I don't know if you could still hear us, but you cut out.
He's still in the.
Yeah, I still see him in the channel, but yeah, that was an interesting situation because when we were a little surprised that he took the mulch to begin with, and then I was thinking in the second situation that that you might want to remove the Dauthi Horror instead of using the Enlightened Tutor. But yeah, that was an interesting game. There were a lot of decisions for both players, pretty compacted into a few turns. So
It was about the land tax and the scroll rack. Now that I'm thinking about it, and then again, I knew I had the second disenchant, and I wanted to. Did I grab your aura? Right.
Yeah, I
Second
think.
duress?
Yeah.
yeah, after the second one, and
The Enlightened Tutor play didn't really work out for me. Of course, that's
No, that
wasn't
completely
enough because
backfired.
I did put the Sylvan in play, and then Sylvan hit dead the top 3, and that happened for like 4 turns in a row. So that didn't really work out. But the other card I was debating was to. I guess I was thinking about Zuran Orb to turn on the threshold.
You only have the one orb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else did you side in? I was expecting the Clasms all over the place. I was expecting the Ivory Towers.
No, I boarded in the Pyroclasm and the. Well, it changed a bit, but I boarded in the Ray and the Disenchant.
Yeah.
Those
I
are
also did board
obvious.
in the second aura for game 3 because unlike you, I think the arena is quite important for you.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the arena game 3.
Yeah.
And I was sorry. Was that game 3 or game 4? I didn't. At least I boarded one out again because I didn't see the arena anymore.
Yeah. Because I took two. I have 3, and I took 2 of them out.
Yeah. What cards did you take out? Because we talked about, we weren't sure exactly what you take out. We thought maybe Mulch would be the first card that came out, but we saw that in some of the post-boarded games, so we weren't sure what you took out.
Again, this about the because the deck list is known, and like I mentioned earlier, Gabe doesn't play Perish, so that means that I can put my creature safely onto the board without fearing any card disadvantage.
Okay.
But if that's the plan, then Cataclysm isn't really good. So I don't. So and also, I think that applies for all the games. Gabe, I think he only had 2 creatures on the board
Sure.
at most all the times.
Yeah.
So the Cataclysm will only take 1 creature.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite. I don't think it's really good in this matchup. So
that makes sense.
Like I said, I took out. I think 1 or 2 of the horrors. I took out 1 or 2 of the shades. I took out some threats, thinking to just put in more answers. So, like.
Yeah. I did expect you to keep the arena, and the worst situation for me is casting a Cataclysm and you having an arena in play, then you just win. So
because I can rebuild faster, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like if you Cataclysm and I've got arena, I'll die before I can get a chance to. Because that's kind of what happened. I pretty much died to my arena.
You have the dark rituals and stuff. So yeah. So I think this matchup is. I think I'm slightly favored, but I also think it's quite even. And again, it's Magic is a high variance game, so need to play a lot of games in order to kind of.
The black-white deck really like exemplifies that. It can win any matchup if it just has like ritual threat and then has duresses and Garrett's Verdict. Like it can take down pretty much any deck if it just has that right sequence of draws. So yeah.
What did you think, Mike, of him 3-for-1ing me with the Presence of the Master?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, we thought that was pretty good. And it was
the field ads.
And it was off a Ray of Revelation, so it was only like for a half a card for him, and he used 3 cards. So yeah.
But it didn't really matter because again, at that game I drew all my disenchant effects. I drew the disenchant, the Earth of Silence, and the Ray of Revelation. So I drew all of them and all lands and no creatures and no card draw spells. Except the Sylvan. Again, I didn't get the shuffle effects to get a fresh set of cards.
In theory, do you think it was the right move to tutor there?
Yeah, I think so. But I think I was just really unlucky just having 6 cards on top with no shuffle effects.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I think I would have plowed the threat from that position instead of Enlightened Tutoring. Mostly
when I tutored for the presence.
I mean, what are you like afraid? What are you like shutting out? Like land tax?
Land tax. I was hoping to draw a disenchant to get rid of the Sylvan.
I feel like
silence.
Like a land tax at that point of the game, I don't feel like is that impactful. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. Karmic Justice, I was worried about. I think.
Sure.
Worship, he has a lot of enchantments in the sideboard.
Yep.
But, that was rough.
All right, cool. Well, congratulations. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add? That kind of wraps up all the questions that I had.
What's on the other side of the bracket? I don't even know.
Fede is playing Goblins and Esper Stifle Nut from John Grudzina. So
they can have it. I'm dead to both of those decks.
Okay. So,
especially Goblins.
Well, anything can happen. So we'll see. You have Engineered Plagues in your sideboard, right?
That's true.
So, all right. Thank
you, Mike, for organizing.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Congratulations, Gabe. Well done for both of you. Should be proud of your performance, Nils. I thought that you played the deck really well. So.
Thank you, Nils. That was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So, all right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the follows. I see that Gangrels and Lionheart had also followed during the show. So thank you for that. Also see Jack and TV recently followed. So appreciate those support. Thank you guys for tuning in, for chatting, having fun with this format. We don't have the other semifinals scheduled at this point, but I will let you know when we do. And then, of course, we will do our best to stream the finals as well, whoever that includes. So until next time, guys, take care.